The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Cowboys Break. Nick, why are you laughing? I don't know. I'm Amber Garcia, your host for the day, with our gang, Nick Eatman, David Hellman. We have a very unusual guest on the show.
Wow. Yeah.
Mr. Derek Eagleton.
Wow.
How are you, Derek?
I'm good.
Anything you
Thanks
would
for
like
welcoming
to say to your fans out there that have been missing you?
Any numbers you want to provide?
Well, it is episode number 12. No, number 11. I'm sorry. Episode number 11. And I really don't have anything to say because I don't really have fans other than maybe my wife and my kids.
Oh,
How many episodes of those 11 have you been here for? 3?
I knew I was gonna face this when I got here today, so I was ready for it. It's I have things to do. I have other business responsibilities in the building.
Boss stuff.
Yeah,
Boss man.
Boss man doing.
Of course, last week was more personal, but most of the weeks is business. So.
Okay, well, we're happy you're back here joining us.
Thank you, Amber.
I'll take care of your role today.
I heard you did a good job though the last few.
It was all right.
Yeah, she's actually been really good. I actually enjoyed listening to the show with her hosting, so that's why she's doing it today.
You got Tony Romo'd.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's funny because she was told that she's gonna do a Wally Pip, and she was like, I don't know.
She has no idea who Wally
Luke
Pip is.
Garrett.
You don't need to say Wally Pip.
Just
anymore.
say Tony Romo.
Yeah, Tony. Okay, well, let's jump right into this whole show. I'm just gonna run through the list of the guys that didn't practice yesterday. Terrence Williams, Malik Collins, Tyron Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, Sean Lee, Charles Tapper, Taco, Deontay Thompson, Cedric Wilson.
Can I stop you real quick? What if you just list the guys who did anything?
Who did something.
Yeah.
But Joe Looney and Coney Ely. Now, Leighton Vander Esch, I just wanted to mention him real quick. He got an injury on his ankle. Nothing serious, not a big deal, but it was more precautionary, which prompted the questions from fans asking this whole thing about injuries and what happened last year at training camp, the whole, hamstrings and how that prevented some of the guys to step into at the beginning of the season. How is that? And this is hard to answer, but help me out here and try to figure this out. How is this? How could the Cowboys possibly prevent this from happening again?
I think they can prevent it by doing exactly what you just read yesterday and just keep those guys out and everything that they do. Yeah, they'd like them out here, but if they've got any sign of soreness or being tired, fatigued, you got an injury here and there, hold them out. And these fans that are upset by what they see and read, they'd be a lot more upset if they just pushed them really hard here and then they're out for like 6 months. So I think the Cowboys are doing exactly what you should do at this point, is just get them out there, but be very cautious of anything that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So in case this happens again, let's say with some of these rookies, how we saw happening last year, is this something that the Cowboys could handle and be okay at the beginning of the season with certain positions? What are y'all's thoughts?
What do you mean? Like,
are you talking about the depth of these positions?
If somebody gets hurt at training camp?
Yeah, okay. For example, last year we got 2 guys on the secondary that got hurt, and the Cowboys were kind of able to
amount of time.
Significant amount of time.
Most of it, in fact.
And you see Ryan Switzer, but they were able to cover that and handle that. But at certain positions that are more key to the game, I mean,
that's the age-old thing with football, right? I mean, like, it looks good right now, but yeah, tell me who's missing and for how long, and I'll tell you how big of a problem it is. I mean, if Leighton Vander Esch having a gimpy ankle right now doesn't concern me at all, but if he can't go for a significant chunk of training camp, that's a little more problematic.
Yeah, same with Connor Williams as well. These first and second round picks are a lot different than they were last year as far as how much that they're expected to contribute.
I will say, which, knock on wood, I have sky-high expectations for Connor Williams, but I'd feel far better about him being unavailable than Leighton Vander Esch, just because of the situation with your linebackers as opposed to your offensive line.
But honestly, I feel pretty good about the depth at most positions. There are only really 2 positions I think depth could be a problem. I think linebacker's one of them, and I think safety is the other. Safety's the obvious one. But I think outside of that, I'm hard pressed, and I may be missing one, but I'm hard pressed to think of a position where I'm thinking that, well, they got 100 of them that they're going to. Now, they're all.
Yeah, but 99 of them are unproven.
Okay, and that's good. But guess what? You're going into the season with unproven receivers. You accepted that when you made the decisions you made this offseason. Right. I don't know that an injury changes that, right?
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
So I just think those 2 positions, to me, I look at those 2 positions, and those are the ones I'm most concerned about depth.
I mean,
depth.
Well,
you can go down. You can go down the list.
All right, I don't want to kill the thing. Okay.
No, and that's true. I mean, quarterback. Your quarterback goes down for most teams around the league. You're except for the Super Bowl champ. You're probably in trouble, right?
I don't want to have to play more than a couple of games without Zeke. I mean, if we're really just taking a look at it, but
there's a difference between depth and
I know
my star players, right?
I'm being a smartass.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump to another subject. There was something that came up yesterday. I thought it was really a fun fact about the left tackle position and some of the guys on the O-line that have played at that spot and what they've become nowadays and what this may mean to Lyle Collins' future. Do you guys know what happened there with that position?
Explain it to me.
Dave, you wrote the column.
I was there, yeah.
So go ahead. I'll let you get into those guys.
Well, it's interesting, which it's always fun when a player is like, yeah, that's really interesting. Like, I thought about that because usually players don't want to talk about whatever you're asking about. But, yeah, it's an interesting point that 4 of the 5 presumed starters on the offensive line have played left tackle at some point in their career. That includes Lyle, Zach Martin, Connor Williams, and Tyron Smith. Really, Travis Frederick is the only presumed starter who's never spent time out there. And Lyle said it himself. He's like, Lyle, he's like, at least I think that your left tackle is your best guy. So you've got 4 guys who were the man for their offensive line at some point. And he was basically like, I don't really know what to do with that information, but it's cool though.
You have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
No, it's cool.
Just a fun
It's
fact.
a cool little fact.
I think it's similar. It is a cool fact, and I think it would, but it just goes to show that you've got talented players. I think you could probably go to every NBA team, every baseball team, and say at some point you batted cleanup and you pitched and you were the center.
Yeah.
At some point, because it just shows you were a badass now. The interesting part is most of that is college, though, right?
Yeah, no, I think
not just high school.
Tyron is the only guy among them that's played left tackle in the pros. But yeah, no, I mean,
college,
Lyle was a first-team All-Conference left tackle. Zach was a second-team All-American left tackle.
Yeah.
And Connor was first-team All-Big 12. I mean, they all were accomplished left tackles.
At big schools.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Do you think that any of that makes the Cowboys feel better if, knock on wood, let's say in the next 2 or 3 years, Tyron gets to the point where neck, back are bigger issues, and he's like, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to give it up. This is just assuming.
It's not the first time that's been thrown out to him, on this show.
Did somebody else throw it out? Oh,
yes.
Well, she had a little bit more. She was a little more emphatic than I was, but no, I'm just saying. Does that make you feel better because you have some players here, some really good players here that have had some experience at left tackle, and you don't feel like you're completely exposed if something like that should happen?
I think so, and I think you definitely have some experienced guys at left tackle. Really, what it shows me more than anything is that you have an athletic line. You have line with good feet that can get on the move. Obviously, to play left tackle, you're going to have some good feet. So I think that's what it shows me is that you got 2 guards that can actually, that have had that kind of ability. Mobility, too.
I got to see it happen before I say that they won't be exposed because they got exposed big time last year because of that. But, I'm starting to become a believer that Lyle could do that at some point in his career if need be. Or, when his contract runs out here, if he wants to test the market or however that plays out, he could probably do that. And I think Zach Martin's one of those guys where I'm like, yeah, you can fly, sure, okay, whatever you want to do. Zach probably has X-ray vision. I just think he can do anything. So,
and that's also just considering the fact that Tyron is probably, I saw you tweeted yesterday, when he's healthy, he's probably the best left tackle in football. So, no matter who you put out there, it's may not be as good as the best tackle in football, but you may be able to get by because you have guys that have some experience and they're good players.
Well, that's the flip side of that is like, oh, these guys are all so good. They all played left tackle in college. Well, Tyron's a first-team All-Pro in the pros.
Right.
So
big difference.
Yeah. He's the man on this line,
Right.
which is different from being the man at LSU.
So the hope is that you have him for a very, very long time.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for
Let's keep
a
the fingers
healthy
crossed.
O-line
Yeah.
this year. Okay, so now let's get into some exciting things regarding Tavon Austin. And that's a guy that we discussed last week and the week before, and kind of what is his role going to be with the Cowboys. We haven't seen them. We came to the conclusion that maybe the Cowboys were kind of hiding him away from other teams and keeping him like a secret weapon. Well, now we finally saw him with the first team and kind of everywhere, doing a little bit of everything. So what did you guys think about his role and how the Cowboys utilized him yesterday?
I have no choice but to assume that somebody over there listens to our show and they were like, whoa, we don't want Dave to be mad, so we better show Tavon at the next OTA. Because, yeah, they did. I mean, it's still OTAs, but we got to see Tavon. He was running some all the stuff that you would think of him doing. Like, he took some carries out of the backfield. He was lined out wide. He was lined up in the slot. They did some jet sweep stuff. Like, nothing that you couldn't have guessed that he would do, but he was just doing it. So that was fun to see.
I love him as a gadget guy, like just being able to do all those different things. I mean, He's not going to be a guy that's going to be a starter per se, but he's going to get opportunities, and he's going to get opportunities to make plays for this team, which I think they've kind of missed in the last few years, having just kind of a guy that can do a little bit of everything, that can present, people always talk about, we hear fans say it all the time, and we've actually mentioned it on our show about the creativity of this offense and not having it at times. I think this guy ultimately gives you a ton of ability to be creative and come up with some good opportunities for your offense.
I think he'll go as far as Zeke can help take him. I think this running game, this offensive line and the running game, if they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, then I think guys like Tavon Austin can really benefit from that. I don't know if he's going to be a starter first team, but he's going to be out there doing a lot of things. And what I like the most is what we were able to do the last few days and talk to a lot of players, and we're putting together a package on speed and the fastest guy on the team, and you got the answer, it's Tavon for sure, by a lot of people that said Tavon is still the fastest by far. So
yeah, go ahead.
I just think that's a good thing. I mean, a lot of people think, well, he's not what he was or he's been a bust. He can run, and he hasn't always had the running game around him. Yeah, Gurley had a great year last year, but he was banged up a lot. He hasn't always had a great running game that he could kind of benefit from. And to the Rams' credit, you don't draft a guy 7th overall to benefit off someone else. He's supposed to be the playmaker. As it turns out, he needed help. He's got it here in Dallas.
Talk a little bit about both you guys, all three of you guys. Talk a little bit about the speed on this team, because we for years talked about he need a little more speed, especially at wide receiver. They get Tavon Austin, they get Deontay Thompson. You got Zeke who can run, obviously. Talk about the speed this year versus last year. Do you see it as a big upgrade in speed, and how do you think that translates when game time comes?
Well, let's just look at like the Atlanta game or any of those games, I guess, that Zeke was out. You look at a game like that, how many positions are they faster than they were before? I mean, Atlanta game, obviously your left tackle is faster than I think Tyron Smith's a better athlete than Chaz Green, but the running back is going to be better. Your tight end is going to be more athletic. I don't know if he's anything else, but he's going to be more athletic. And your wide receivers are going to be more athletic, I think, than what you had in that game. So that's just one game, but I'm just saying that I think from an athletic standpoint, you're seeing it a lot.
I'll steal this from. Well, you weren't here anyway, so you don't know I'm stealing it from Nick. But I
listened.
Their side to side, their lateral speed encourages me. Like Tavon, we've seen Deontay Thompson can do some of those types of things. Plus, he has that downfield speed. I don't think of the rest of it. Like I don't think it's going to be drastically different. Zeke's Zeke. I don't like Allen Hurns isn't faster than Dez. I wouldn't imagine. Terrence is Terrence. So I don't think it's like this drastic difference, but there is that element, which, I talked about this yesterday with somebody during practice. I was like, nothing logically dictates that Tavon Austin has to make this team. Like, he's not commanding this crazy salary or anything like that. But I just think it's almost a given that he's going to, because of that element that he can bring where, again, you go back to Lucky Whitehead. Even when he's not getting the ball, you have to respect that he's moving across the formation.
Even more so than Lucky Whitehead.
Yeah, and just all that type of stuff. So, I do think there's an element that they didn't have last year where they have a couple of guys who can threaten that way.
Is it at all concerning to you guys that an offense as good as St. Louis's, actually LA, the Rams, last year wasn't able to find a larger role for a guy like this that has those kinds of skills? Because you think about it, I know, Nick, you were talking about how much Zeke would help him. Well, Todd Gurley is an equally great running back, right? And is it somewhat troubling to you at all that they weren't able to find that right way to be able to get the most out of him that we suspect the Cowboys will have to try to get out of him?
I would say that's the concerning part of it, but what gives me hope is the fact is when you see the coaches talking so well about him and how excited they are to have him on the team, and seeing his teammates' reaction and appreciation and recognition of what kind of speed he has and the kind of athlete he is. So when you see something like that, it makes you excited, and you hope that they will find the right spot for him. And as we saw yesterday, they were trying him out at different places. They have enough time to figure that out over time during training camp, and it was good to see them finally doing that and experimenting with him.
I'm looking for the quote of what Linehan said about him yesterday. Do you remember that? I
wasn't at Linehan yesterday, but it doesn't concern me at all because it goes back to expectation. Like the only way that could disappoint me is if I was expecting him to come in and he's not going to make a Pro Bowl. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for 1,000 yards rushing or receiving, or, I want him, I expect him to be the primary return man, punt and kick. And I think it's realistic to think that you can find a way to get him 6 or 7 touches a game on top of that. So you're talking about 10 to 15 touches probably. If he carries the ball 50 times this season and catches the ball 20 times, I think that's a great start. And again, you're talking not just about what he can actually do, but the perception, what the defense has to account for, him being on the field. Is that going to give it to him, or is it going to go to Zeke? What's going on here? You're making a mistake if you're thinking of him as this Pro Bowl acquisition, but I think of him as a wrinkle who could probably rip off 5 to 10 big plays this year and just be a constant mismatch threat. And so that's why it doesn't worry me, because he did that for the Rams last year. He was banged up and they didn't use him consistently, but I think he had 400, 500, 600 all-purpose yards by the end of the season.
Against the Cowboys.
Yeah, he had a great game against the Cowboys, which I wrote about this and I've talked about it on Twitter. If you want to see what I think he can do here, go watch that game, because I think he caught 2 balls and had 6 carries for 50 yards. He didn't get a game ball, but he was a valuable piece of that offense, which I think he can do that here.
Did you find that quote?
Yeah, but I was waiting on it.
You already put
Fumble.
it away.
Jesus. To get through the sermon there. He said, Linehan said.
Sorry, I like to inform people.
Yeah.
That was good.
Okay. He said, Tavon Austin.
Today.
I don't know.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was one of those things. It was in the moment. It was he just said, is he a wide receiver or a running back? Which Linehan gets asked this all the time.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you do these weekly media sessions. Guys come up, they haven't been here all the time. But he says, is he a wide receiver or running back? He's like, he's Tavon. He can line up anywhere at any time or place. Mm-hmm. So that's cool to say that. Let's see if Linehan does that. That sounds good. But
And he did mention also that he's actually jumping between the wide receiver and the running back room. I know I read that somewhere, heard that as well.
I don't think that's quite accurate.
That's not
accurate. We've seen him more as a wide receiver.
They're not going to give you a diagram for what he's doing, but a week or two ago, Linehan was he's in the receiver's room, but the thing about all these rooms is that they're close together. He can find his way over the running backs.
What are the options? What's the chance that he is going to have a go route that he's going to go 60 yards down the field and Dak's going to throw him the ball? What
slim to none.
Slim to none?
I think so.
I think there's a chance that'll happen. He'll run deep at some point. What are the chances that on 3rd and 1, with you need a first down, he's going to run the ball right up the middle?
Slim to none.
So, I think he's more of a receiver.
This is a team that I saw give the ball to, was that Cole Beasley on a...
Up the middle?
No, but still, it was 3rd or 4th and 1. And
wide receiver.
I think
He's a receiver. He's a web
Web
back.
Yes,
Web back.
you're talking about a guy who's going to get 90% of his touches within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage this year. I would bet that.
I bet that too. I'm with you.
So you think he's a running back?
No, I think
He's
he's
Tavon.
He's a receiver, but he's gonna
Simple.
carry the ball 40 to 60 times this year.
Well,
I
that's
bet.
probably a better question. Is he going to carry it more than he'll
But
catch? He's not
to-
going to catch it 40 times.
No, I think he'll have more carries than catches, no doubt. But
He's a running back.
I still think of him as a receiver. No, but to go to Nick's point, like I just said, like there's nothing that dictates he has to make this team. But like a week ago, Linehan was like, call him a tight end if you want to, just get him on the team. Like which,
Whatever.
if your
Kinda like
offensive
that, yeah.
coordinator is saying that, like Scott Linehan wants him here. I know that, so I'm
think-
going with that.
I think the annoying part to me is when people are trying to, you're trying to get the roster figured out right now. So it's like, who's going to make the team at running back or who's going to make it receiver? So they're like, okay, we'll count Tavon as a running back. Like that doesn't help you. Like you still need enough backs to do what you need to do. Just by calling him a running back doesn't mean you can now go long at receiver because he doesn't help you like your other running backs would help you.
And if a running back goes down, it's
Yeah,
not like he's
that
going to
doesn't
step
help
in
you.
there and become your guy that's going to carry it 20 times in a game, right?
Right.
Okay.
He's a gadget player
somebody.
for them.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, I want you guys to tell me who your favorite wide receiver is at this
Tavon.
point. Stop, Derek, you're ruining it. And then we'll
Sorry.
get into the secondary when we come back.
It's actually fun being able to be on this side.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
I definitely have an Instagram foodie thing, but the low-light camera on my new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T is getting me a whole new world of likes and shares. Baskets of bread by candlelight, colorful fruit plates in full sun. Even a dimly lit Cobb salad was recently hailed as a masterpiece.
Come in now and ask how to get half off the new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T. AT&T, work for your thing. That's our thing. Limited time only. See store for details or att.com/Samsung50. The dual aperture supports f1.5 mode and f2.4 mode. Dual aperture is installed on the rear camera.
Oh, I am craving a Dr. Pepper. I got some soda. I asked not for soda. I asked for ice-cold, craveable Dr. Pepper. Its flavor is more one of a kind than a four-toed sloth with a thirst for speed. So stop settling for soda and start demanding Dr. Pepper. I love sloths. When you crave a Dr. Pepper, nothing else will do. Grab an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
To work this big land, you need equipment with values rooted as deep in Texas soil as you are. Like John Deere compact tractors with a 6-year powertrain warranty and big features that help you work less so you have more time to do what you love. John Deere was first in the Texas fields, and we're proud to be on the field as the official ag and turf equipment of the Dallas Cowboys. Find Texas-sized deals at myjohndeeredealer.com/football. Terms, conditions, exclusions, and warranty limitations apply. See dealer for details.
Back to the break.
All right, guys, we are back on the break. We're going to discuss who these guys' favorite wide receiver is at this point. Derek lost his turn because he already gave it away, Tavon Austin. But
I was just playing. I have another one.
Okay, anything else you want to say, Derek, on this matter?
Sure.
Who would be?
I'll throw mine out first. It's still, for me, Cole Beasley. I actually am excited that this year I want to see if Cowboys can figure out a way to create mismatches and create opportunities for him. I think last year, way too often, he was being taken out of opportunities to be able to catch the ball. And I think if the Cowboys think of some more creative ways to get him open, I think he could be a really valuable asset for them. And so I'm hopeful that they'll do that. And I think if they do it, I actually believe when it's all said and done, Cole could lead this team in receptions.
Do you see that happening with the Cowboys now, not having players such as Jason Witten, Des Bryant on
That's
the
exactly
team?
right.
Do you think now other teams, I mean, they're going to be able to find or see all some of these new guys as a threat to where Cole Beasley's now getting open or being able to get open?
I think the way I look at it is I think it's about what you do with your offensive skill players to create opportunities for them. Way too often we see the Cowboys' opponents using rub routes and that kind of stuff, and it kills the Cowboys. And I wish they would do more of that kind of stuff. I think there are ways that the Cowboys could try to get guys like Cole Beasley open because he's the type of receiver that I think he's got good athleticism. He's quick. He catches the ball well. You get him a little bit of space, I think he can actually make some plays for you. So I'm hopeful that they'll actually find ways. They'll look for ways, try to be creative to get him open rather than just kind of matching him up in the slot and whatever happens. I think that might be that's, to me, not taking advantage of the opportunity you have with him.
Yeah.
Enough.
That's a good choice. Okay, Nick.
And the question is, favorite receiver?
At this point, yes, based on everything that you've seen so far at OTAs.
Based on everything I've seen. Okay. Because my favorite receiver is Katie Cannon. That's the one I want to make the team because
that's your boy.
Yeah, well, because when he was not getting drafted, I was like, why aren't the Cowboys drafting this guy? Why aren't they signing him in free agency? Then he got cut a couple times. Why aren't they bringing him in? And I even asked the question to coaches and to personnel guys. I'm like, this guy is better than the 6 guys you've got. And I've said that now.
Has he done enough right now to stand out within that group?
Is he still one of the best 6?
You know, I think he's got a shot for it. He
can run.
I'm not going to say, well, he's not getting the opportunities because he's not going to get as many opportunities. That's just what happens. I mean, but you got to earn it when you get it. I think he even said it himself. He's got to learn the playbook a little bit more. But from a speed standpoint, he's got it. He's just going to have to make plays. He's got to have to be one of those guys that makes plays in preseason games when he gets chances and stuff. But so he's my favorite guy, kind of as a pet cat type. But a guy that I'm really interested in the most would be Tavon, just because I think he gives you that speed element. He gives different things, and if he's going laterally, then I think it'll open up things more vertically for other receivers, like a Gallup or Terrence Williams or maybe Deontay.
I'm on the Hearns train.
I like Hearns too.
I'm here.
I
for
like
it.
this variety of picks here.
Everybody. Beasley's gonna make the team. Like Alan Hearns is gonna start at the X, and
absolutely.
He's gonna get all that opportunity. The rest of this is kind of conjecture. Katie Cannon's got a chance to make the team. Noah Brown's been my pet cat since he got drafted, but Alan Hearns is gonna get a lot of opportunities to show what he can do, and I think he's up to it too. So
he's probably the most, if you look at just overall the accomplishments on the field statistically of this wide receiver core, he's by far the most accomplished to this group.
Glad it's sort of like you read my column, because you were just
I didn't, but hey,
you were just saying, you were like, oh, you think he's going to be one of the 6? Well, I think there could be 7, honestly.
Okay.
But regardless, I was writing this column, and I was like, well, yeah, Alan Hearns is the most accomplished receiver on this team. Beasley and Terrence both have more career catches than him.
Really?
Yeah.
Neither one has had a better year than he had.
He is the
2 or 3 years ago.
Only receiver on this team with a 1,000-yard season.
Right.
But Terrence has him beat by like 50 or 60 catches for a career.
Is that because he's had a longer career, or they had the same career?
He came in around the same time.
A little longer career, and probably a better quarterback.
That's also the part of it that you have to remember is the quarterback that Hearns was with had one great year, and that was the year that Hearns had a great year. Outside of that, his quarterback has been really bad.
Crap on him however much you want, but
he's been pretty bad.
Terrence has never missed a game in his pro career, I don't believe.
Nope.
So
that's
a good thing.
He was on the list that we just did, top 10.
I think pencil in, this is just me speaking, but
he'll miss a game this year.
Hearns, Terrence, Cole, and I think Tavon Austin are locks to make the team, assuming no injuries and all that stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. And there, okay.
So you already got 5 that are definites.
I think so.
So they're all battling for 1 to 2 spots, basically. All the rest of those guys.
We can move Tavon to running back. That frees up
Which is why I think.
Nick.
You talk about you got you got 100 receivers and 99 of them haven't done anything. Well, quality over quantity. Then if you can find a way to keep 7, maybe you do that, and you can change that as the season goes along and guys kind of show their stuff. But
problem is you need to keep 5 tight ends.
See, I'm thinking 3.
Tight ends?
I'm thinking 3.
Tight ends are not going to – I don't think tight end will be as big of a position. Like, they won't use the tight end as much as they use the tight end.
3.5. Keep 3 tight ends.
I think when they want to go big, they'd rather just bring in an extra offensive line.
I agree with that.
Rather than having 2 or 3 tight ends on the field,
Yeah. Well, what are you going to say something?
I was telling him, I don't know if you heard that, Olawale could be some tight end as well.
Yeah.
So
he's James Hanna.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wanting to jump now over to the defense side. And one of the biggest topics during this offseason, aside from the whole Des Bryant and then Witten, it was Byron Jones and his whole change of position moving now to the corner. After seeing 3 weeks of OTAs, what were your impressions of Byron being at corner now? How has he been doing at that position?
For me personally, I haven't noticed it being a problem, which is a good thing when you're talking about corner. So I think he's picking it up well, and remember, there's a reason why he moved, just because it's the preference of the defensive backs coach, Chris Richard. He likes guys to play a certain way, and they wants them to have a kind of a certain size to them, and so far so good, I think. But then again, it goes back to what we just talked about: is anybody really challenging him to the point where he's exposing him? So right now, I think it's been okay.
He made a really great breakup on a pass last week, great. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to judge stuff
it's
training camp is so much easier because there's one-on-ones every day, and it's a little, the team periods are more physical, and we're allowed full access to the field, so you can go down right on the line of scrimmage. So from 50 yards away for 2 hours a week, he looks fine to me.
And what's going to be really hard, I think, this year during OTAs and training camp is really going to be trying to evaluate these cornerbacks, because there is no great wide receiver on the opposite side. You're not going to face guys like you always. I mean, last year, over the last several years, you always can gauge kind of how good a cornerback is playing when he goes up against Dez, because Dez has just these remarkable skills that being able to defend him shows you a little bit more about the cornerback. I don't think there's a receiver like that right now on this team. This is a team that, again, is going to rely on the quantity of receivers and finding the open guy versus having one stud guy. So when you go up against Atlanta, that's when you're going to find out a lot about these cornerbacks when they have to face a guy like Julio Jones, because you won't see that during training camp. Right?
That's a really great point.
Yeah. No, got to be careful.
I saved that for the last 3 weeks.
Got to be good for you. Got to be careful about falling into that trap this year. And people are still mad at us for blowing up Byron Jones last year.
About training camp, and then
they're like, "You led me down this road."
We can only tell you what we see.
Trying to tell you what I see, man.
You can only talk about what you see, but just be careful. I think we have to be really careful this year about that with cornerbacks.
You remember, and this might be a segue. I don't know what's on your list, but you remember a few years ago when we were really worried about Tyron Smith, because DeMarcus Ware was just
wearing him,
killing him in training camp. This is not good. It's great for DeMarcus; he still got it. As the year turned out, one of them made the Pro Bowl for the first time, and the other one missed games and kind of limped through the finish line, or to the finish line there. So sometimes what you see in camp isn't always what happens here.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll get into the safety position in a little bit. Let's just keep talking about DeMarcus Ware and his involvement here on the team and how the things he's been doing. I mean, it's pretty impressive. And you look at the guy, how fit and healthy he looks, and how he's out there helping these guys out. I mean, how can this impact the players that he's helping out?
Can my guy get a contract? My God.
If he wanted to play,
he could sure.
play. I mean,
he looks, he's ready to go. Yeah. I don't know what he's training for. I guess just because.
You follow him on Twitter? He's working out every day.
I know. I'm like,
it's just so he looks
working harder than half the guys in the league.
I saw a picture, I think maybe on the website, I don't know, but I saw a picture and I had to go back and I'm like, that's DeMarcus Ware. I'm like, wait, is that him? Yeah, it is
creeping
him.
on his Twitter account.
Yeah. And he's a guy that has been, stop it there. I'm in the news business now.
Got it.
So anyways, one of the guys that he has spoken about is Taco Charlton, and he's seen the progress and development on a guy like Taco, a guy that has been criticized by many on Twitter and people that keep asking, is Taco going to step up this year and be better? Have you guys seen any progress from Taco? And I know it's hard to tell right now, but is that something that leads you to think that he's going to be really, make some kind of impact this year?
I've seen a huge improvement in one area. Confidence. He's very confident now. Just in some of the interviews we've seen him, he is just
he knows he's got
cool Daddy Taco right now. He says he's the best trash talker on the team right now.
Yeah.
And as we talked about last week, is beat Tyron Smith twice in a row, talk trash to him, and then we'll be on board with that. But I think what DeMarcus said is maturity is the number one thing he's seen out of him, and he's got different tools in the toolbox for this year. So that he's showing the at least he's showing it to DeMarcus. It's a little tricky with him though. I mean, he's not here all the time. He's here. He's a consultant. He's here. He's also with the Broncos. So I mean, he goes from Denver here. So he's seeing Von Miller, and then he comes here. So I mean, I'm just saying that
a little different.
You're not here all the time, so you're not seeing every day, every practice, and all that. But still, you got the all-time leading sack artist in Cowboys history helping out. I'm sure it's good.
But that's all nice, but at the end of the day, the players still got to play. I mean, they've had Haley here for years. He comes around, he talks to the guys, whatever he does with the guys, and tries to give them tips and that kind of stuff. I don't know that necessarily changes anything. There's certainly probably things they can pick up from them, but at the end of the day, they got coaches, they got people that are already investing and trying to develop them.
But DeMarcus gets in there and
I get all that, and trust me, I'm not saying that couldn't be like they can't learn things from him. But at the end of the day, they're not him.
Right.
And sometimes, it's kind of like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's not a coach because Michael Jordan knows how to do things that other
like
people.
This.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell him, but
just when he gets in
a little bit
front
harder
of you, just
sometimes.
take him by the jersey and just shove him back.
Right.
Can you just repeat what I did? Like, is it that hard to do? Can you just do it?
That's right.
It's not the same.
That's why Tyronn Lue is a coach.
Right.
Guys that have had to work their way to it.
Maybe they have a lot more tools to be able to teach
Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
I mean, who's the greatest who's the greatest coach in NFL history that was a great player?
Oh, man.
Mike Ditka.
Yeah,
Singletary, but he wasn't a great coach.
He wasn't a very good coach. I'm trying to think.
I mean, you just see like Herm Edwards. You see like good, solid players like,
Yeah, no, they don't.
Tomlin was a
Jeff Fisher.
Dungy. They were just,
Dungy was probably the best. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He was a player.
I'm talking
not
about
a great player.
I'm
like a
great
player.
I mean,
Nick Saban was a player.
No. Parcells was drafted.
I didn't know.
No. He played football.
No. I'm talking about great player, great coach.
Yeah.
Because DeMarcus was asked twice yesterday, and I don't know if he changed his mind in about 16 minutes, but he was asked once in an interview that I was at, and he was like, "Are you gonna be a coach one day?" And he was like, "No, God, no." Then later, I hear, DeMarcus talked in the locker room, and he said one day he wants to be a coach. I was like, oh, what changed his mind?
Mike Ducey, it was awesome. Like he was like, well, you kind of want to scratch this itch, but you can make better money doing like TV and stuff. And Ware was like, yeah absolutely.
Yeah. Dick LeBeau, was he a great player?
I don't know. He played in the 30s.
Right. He played a long time ago. But
that's at Night Train Lane. I don't know. Whatever.
Night Train Lane. Okay.
I have no idea.
Ask Nikki.
Okay, let's jump into the safety position.
Do we have to?
We kind of do. Okay. And
safety
is
first.
this our weekly reference to another safety? Like, is that what we just do?
No. This is me and Amber's weekly worry fest
we're
about
not
safety.
Over it yet.
Okay.
Nick implies something about the Seattle guy.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
it's
like,
still
this
happening.
is a weekly
same script every week.
All right. Well, let's go through the pace.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on this scenario. We know the Cowboys haven't got any new guys, obviously, at the safety position.
But it's not too early to do that. If they wanted to do that. Sorry, Dave.
God grant me the serenity.
We know that the Cowboys has spoken about the possibility of moving some of the corners to the safety position to help out there if needed. Now, Cheeto Awuzie kind of talked about it yesterday in regards to if they asked him to, he's ready. He could play any position there. He could do it. But he did say that as of right now, the talk is he is a corner, and that's where he's going to be at. Now, if that happens and Cheeto is moved to safety for any reason, what would be your expectations there, and how would that secondary now look and change if that was to happen?
What I've hated this topic of conversation since they brought it up after the draft, and that's because we just sat here saying, what can you really learn from OTAs? Like it's shorts, it's blah, blah, blah. And I think you made the really good point last week that like you can tell who's picking up the playbook and the scheme during this period. But Byron's played safety, and Cheeto has done everything during the course of his career. So like neither one of those guys is going to – I trust that both of them can pick all of this up. So like – what are you learning here that's going to prompt you to make that switch, basically? Right. You know what I mean? Like, what what are these 3 weeks really going to show you where you're like, well, we got to move somebody?
I could kind of answer that. I mean, at least,
please.
I mean, I think what you look at a couple of players. Number one, you're looking at Xavier Woods. You're looking at, how is he giving you the confidence to play that position that we don't need to make that move? Or on the flip side, are there cornerbacks that are in that mix, like Anthony Brown playing really well, Jordan Lewis playing really well? Is there young guys? Is there Duke Thomas? Is there somebody that's stepping up to that point where you're like, our depth at corner is way better than our depth at safety? Mm-hmm. That's where I could see that happening and making a move. We've seen it before when what's better, tackle or end, and that's where Tyrone Crawford's going to go accordingly.
But do you think that Cheeto right now is one of your best 2 corners?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if he's one of your best 2 corners, I don't like the idea of taking one of your best starting guys and moving them to another position.
Another thing I really hate at any position is like, well, we've got really good depth. Let's get rid of some of it. Like, I hate that. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Celtics are about to do that.
So I mean, Byron's not going to get anywhere unless you let him get comfortable at a position. And until I'm proven otherwise, I have sky-high expectations for what Cheeto can be as a corner. So I hate the idea of moving either one of them. I guess to answer your question more directly, if you're going to play Cheeto at safety, then I would assume then your trio would be Byron, Brown, and Jordan in whatever, whoever you want to play the slot. Brown and Jordan can both play either, so...
And
whatever.
The weird part here is that, Xavier Woods is kind of like the Tavon Austin on the other side, because he kind of can do a little bit of both. Is he safety? Is he corner? Is he a slot guy? He can do both. So he's a wild card to me in that scenario, even if he doesn't start at safety. But
I will say that one thing, and I don't know much about him, but maybe we're not giving enough credit to Marquestin Huff. He's a forgotten guy in this whole thing. They brought him in early in the offseason. He runs with the second team right now. Maybe they trust that he can push Xavier Woods. I haven't seen him do anything bad. I haven't seen him do anything great out here. I don't really know what to think of him, but every time I think about this, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
You know what I'd like to see though on passing down specifically? I'd like to see maybe what they do is just get their best guys out there. If that means that Jordan's better than, let's say, for example, one of the safeties, and that means you get Cheeto's out there on a passing down at safety, but you've got your best 5 or 6 actual defensive backs on the field.
Oh, so like
I kind of would like to see them maybe rotate guys around a little bit in game. Now, assuming he can do that without crippling his ability to be a great corner.
You're
right?
trying to do like the Patriots thing where like the Patriots run their front 7 is just like you don't know who's playing what because it's just like 6 guys
it's your best guys,
near
right?
the line of scrimmage.
Well, I'm just saying if you can get a way where you can get your best guys out there, and if Cheeto and Jordan and Anthony Brown and Byron Jones happen to be among your best 6, how can you get them all on the field, or best 5? How can you get them all on the field on those passing downs?
Okay, but if Cheeto is head and shoulders the best corner, I'm talking like a great, I don't want to say shutdown corner. I don't know if that exists anymore, but if he's the best thing the Cowboys have to that, where you're facing a top-notch receiver, and if we might want to shadow him, then you don't do it.
Right, you don't do it. Right,
and so you got to make sure if he's that good, because that can also help your defense. If you got a guy that can do, he can just follow a player all over the field.
And as much as I like Cheeto, I don't think he's there yet.
I don't think he's there yet either.
So I don't know that would be a part of the equation just yet.
He's not
maybe
going to get there if you make him change positions.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take our final break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to go around the room, talk about the biggest OTA standouts until now.
Cowboys fans know that the second best of anything simply won't cut it, and your skincare should be no different. A longtime locker room favorite of the players and the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas-based Jack Black is the #1 best-selling men's skincare brand in the country because we make products that help guys look, smell, and feel better. Visit getjackblack.com/Cowboys to get $10 off your first order of $50 or more. Jack Black. Look good, smell good, feel good. Official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
What does it mean to be a Dallas Cowboys fan? It means you've got the passion and the heart to do your part supporting the boys no matter what. That's why when the game's on the line, you're on your feet, whether you're at home or in the stands. Actually, you're more than a fan. You are a member of Cowboys Nation, and so is AT&T, doing their part to keep you connected to America's team all season long. AT&T is a proud member of Cowboys Nation.
Back to the break.
All right, guys, we are back. We are in our third segment of the break, but since Derek is our special guest of the day,
we're going to keep this going,
He's going to tell us about some underwear. Yeah. He's going to tell us why it feels good and why is it so awesome. And Derek, go ahead.
Can I just say, I'm wearing it now. It feels great. Go get your own.
Yeah. How and where?
Where?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Tommy John. Get it at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys for 20% off your first order. TommyJohn.com/Cowboys.
I give it a full endorsement.
Thumbs up.
Remember that commercial, that Fred McGriff commercial?
No.
What?
I don't remember that.
If
the
Fred
baseball
McGriff
player?
was in a commercial, then it had to
That
have
was a
been at
long
least
time
like
ago.
20-something years
It was.
ago.
But
That was back when I actually watched baseball.
You don't remember the Fred McGriff commercial with like Tommy Mansky, and he was just like, he has that bad hat, and he goes, I give it my complete endorsement. All right, somebody's with me on that.
Okay.
10.
Sorry.
Somebody's like, I remember the 95 Braves too.
All right, so
like
Tommy John
91.
is pretty good. Thank you, Derek, for letting us know that. Yeah. Now, we talked about the safety position, and moving on from that, aside from that position, what would be, and I'm going to ask each and one of you, what would be the next position that at this point kind of
Bill
still
Bates just walked
concerns
in, so
you a little
we could
bit?
get the safety there. Sorry.
Bates. That kind of still concerns you. Do you want to go ahead and get it
Sure,
started?
I'll go first. I mentioned it earlier, linebacker. Linebacker is the position where I think we could get to the end of the season, and I'm like, that was one of the best, if not the best position on the team for this season. I also think you could get to the end of the season and be like, it completely platooned them, because it's all about the health of Sean Lee. Yeah. And what, what's going to happen with Jalen Smith? Like, is Jalen Smith ready to be? Is he there yet? Is he at the point now where he can play at least at the level of what he played at Notre Dame, if not better? So that's where I think you have to have some real questions about the linebacker position. If all those things work out, and then you add in a Van Der Esch who actually plays well, or at least up to expectations, I think this linebacker position could be phenomenal.
Last year, whenever Sean Lee would go out, Anthony Hitchens, he did a really, really good job at taking leadership and stepping into that role. Do you see Jalen Smith kind of stepping into that role as far as the leader goes?
I think Jalen Smith has leadership qualities. I also believe, though, in order to be a really good leader, I think you have to be a really good player. That's just my personal belief. Yeah. Just because if not, then the moment things start going wrong, and you're trying to tell someone whatever, they're going to look at you like, well, you might want to get a little better at your job as well. But I do think you have to be a really good player, and I think that if Jalen can take that next step, then yes, I think he has great leadership qualities, and maybe he could provide that sort of leadership.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. If it comes to pass that the linebacker situation devolves into a disaster, can you kill him for that? Just in terms, I guess my point is, don't you feel like they did everything they could do within a realistic scope to fix it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, well,
absolutely.
This is part of the larger point.
As long as Sean Lee is here, you're gonna, especially at this age, you're gonna be susceptible to you're taking a chance every year that he could have an injury that keeps him out a significant amount of time.
Sean Lee's got his injury issues. That's just baked in.
Right.
Jalen Smith has, that's baked in at this point. It is what it is. Maybe he's better. We can't count on it.
Right.
They signed, I think, a really underrated quality depth guy in Joe Thomas. Okay. They spent their first-round pick on a linebacker. If it turns out that it sucks, I can't kill them. Like, that's the definition of hindsight is 20/20. You know what I mean? Like, they did everything they could. Where I look at is defensive tackle, because I'm not convinced that the same can be said. Because, as it stands right now, and this is the voluntary part of the offseason, I'm not killing David Irving for not being here for that, but he's not here. The word on the street is that the conditioning is a problem, and a whole host of other things that are going on top of that. Malik Collins broke his foot. They didn't draft a guy. They did bring on Jihad Ward, who they feel good about, but again, not something that you feel super great about.
Do you not factor in Price? I really like Price a lot at one technique. I thought last year before he got hurt, I thought he was playing really well for him.
He did. He's not a guy where I'm just like, well, they'll be fine. They got Brian Price.
There's not many one techniques that I'm just like, oh, they're great. Like that's a great, one technique is one technique, but I think he played it really well.
Dayton Jones is a guy worth mentioning. He's basically been starting this whole month with Malik Collins out. So, and mea culpa if I wind up being wrong. Like maybe these guys are better than I'm giving credit for, but on paper, I look at that and I'm like, you can't 100% trust either of your starting defensive tackles, and I don't love what's behind them. So that concerns me.
You could make the argument that if it doesn't go well at linebacker, that they could have done more by signing Anthony Hitchens.
Okay, I'm not
done that.
I'm not going to,
especially if they're going to cut Dez and not do anything with the money.
I'm not going to kill him for that because nobody loves Anthony Hitchens more than I do. But I don't want to give him a $50 million deal.
If they don't sign anybody else, they saved about $8 million with Dez Bryant. If they don't sign anybody else, then why did you not get Anthony Hitchens back and then draft a receiver instead of the linebacker or something else?
Well, it was too early.
Could it not also have been the fact that
they could do that?
You look at the amount of money that they're paying, and maybe they're like, hey, we feel like we'd rather go younger with our linebackers rather than pay another guy because we're already not that they're paying Sean Lee crazy money, but we're already paying him.
Yeah.
So maybe we'd rather go younger and have some younger guys at linebacker, and that's better to us than paying another guy. Very
big
contract.
Very big fan of Anthony Hitchens. I'd rather be paying Leighton Vander Esch whatever $2 million than Anthony Hitchens $50. That's just me though.
Yeah.
Nick, did you have any other position different from the ones that they just discussed?
Hard, Nick.
Yeah. Yep. This is like where I talk like Dave and I act like I'm not.
This is yeah. Sorry, I do.
Kicker.
Oh,
that's one that's a little bit.
What?
A bit of a
Not
kicker.
expecting that.
I love Dan Bailey.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I think he's great.
Are you trying to take his position?
No, I'm not.
Take his job.
Go look at how many games get decided by a field goal.
I get it. So are you saying you don't think he's back to what he was 2 years ago?
I don't know because unlike other people, what they might think, I am not there in all of his practices and rehabs and all that stuff. So I don't know. All we know is what we saw at the end of the year. I think he's going to be fine. I definitely think he's going to be fine. But if he's not, it changes the game. It changes the game. So I hope he's fine. Everyone is pulling for him. I'm right there leading the charge. I'm just saying that is a position you can't cover that up. Defensive tackle doesn't do well. You can kind of cover it up. Linebacker played well, stepped up. You make the kick or you don't. And, I just hope that it's no issue at all.
They'll have somebody at camp,
point,
right? I mean, they'll have somebody at camp.
Yeah, but nobody to compete with them, which is probably a good thing.
At any given moment, though, there are kickers on the street that you could go out. I mean, they did it last year. There are kickers on the street you could go out and get if you got into this season and he hasn't corrected the problems that he was having last year.
But if it's to that point, then what happened before that? Week 6, they'll say that happened, but what happened in week 5?
Yeah, I get you.
They lost a game. Yeah. And they lost a game.
If they're getting rid of him or if they're getting somebody else in here,
and this
he probably
team,
lost
I don't know if you've noticed, but this team will just hover around the 8, 9, and 7 mark.
Really?
And that you'll miss a game by 1. So I'm just saying that could affect it. And again, I'm not suggesting one thing or another. I just hope that he's back to the part where you're not even thinking about 35-yard field goals or extra points.
As good as he's been, I'm going to trust until I see different that he's going to be back.
I'm with you there too. I'm just saying.
Not saying nothing you said is wrong, but I've put Dan in the same category as like Tyron, where I'm like, you get a mulligan. Like your track record is good enough and long enough.
I think Adam Vinatieri. There was a reason why. I don't know why, but there was a reason why the Patriots let him go.
May have been money. May have been like we can get another kicker in here for less.
And
money.
They did, and they have a great kicker as well.
Yeah.
But he's still kicking at a very high level. So, and it was an injury and all that stuff. I'm hoping that no issue at all. But I mean, it's one of those things that you fingers crossed on him.
Yeah.
In Dan Bailey, we trust.
I trust it
And
too.
we'll keep
I trust it
trusting.
too. But
He will come back
It's
and
a
make
very
all the-
important position.
It is. Yeah.
The good thing, I mean, at least the way I see it is that's a position that you can absolutely just practice over and over, and where you don't necessarily have certain factors that will affect you kicking the ball. Aside from weather condition, it's a very steady, kick. So that is something that he can keep practicing, and that the Cowboys will have time to see how his kicks are, how many he makes over training camp and all that. As different as other positions that it's a little bit harder to judge because game day is different.
Unless it gets in his head, unless it's a mental thing, then he can kick. He get great during the week. So I don't know. All I'm saying
that's a fair point too.
It's a fun. It's a good point. Just like Byron Jones is like, you're not watching the all 22. Like, I'm doing my stuff over here. You're like, why are y'all criticizing me? Dan Bailey. It's like, did it go in or did it not go in?
It doesn't care.
It's very easy.
Yeah, it's
very
one
easy.
or the other. Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you guys, biggest standout of OTAs. This is the last week of OTAs. The Cowboys finish with OTAs going into minicamp next week. So biggest standout overall in the whole OTAs. Dave?
Oh, why you got to put me on the spot like that?
I'll start,
Or
actually.
Dan.
I'll start. Anthony Brown, to me, is a guy, he's kind of like forgotten a little bit just because he's not one of the flashy players, but he does have great athleticism. He's still, in the mix to be one of your top 3 or 4 guys who'll be on the field a lot. And I think just as a veteran player now that he is a veteran, I think he has a chance to kind of fly under the radar a little bit. I think he's done some good things from what I've seen out there. Anthony Brown's a guy that's kind of stood out to me.
We've talked a lot about him. I think I'll go back to it. It's Tavon Austin for me because it just whet my appetite for what I expect to see.
This is
from
your
him during the
Malik
season.
Collin this year.
This is my pet cat. Like I think.
Oh,
I
wait,
think they're
was
gonna
it Malik Collin or Stephen Paya? It was Malik Collin.
Me
I
and
was a
Derek,
big fan of Stephen
Derek
Paya.
both love Stephen Paya.
Yeah, I was a big
Stephen
fan of
Paya.
Stephen Paya last
The
year.
one that you were talking a lot about.
Yeah, but
this year.
I'm very excited about what they're going to get or what they can get out of Tavon Austin. It'll be interesting to see if they use him the right way and if they really get, like Dave said, like you're not expecting 100-yard games, but I do expect that there are going to be 2 or 3 games this year that he will win for you. Like he will make the play that wins 2 or 3 ball games for you this year, and I think that's more than enough for what they're paying him to if they got that out of him.
I'll say Blake Jarwin.
Blake.
Oh, stepping into the Jones boat.
I was going to say Blake, and I thought he was going to give me crap.
Yeah, that's your guy. You usually bring him up.
Let me make myself perfectly clear. I still think Jeff Swaim is going to be this team's starting tight end. I don't think Blake Jarwin's going to go to the Pro Bowl or have this insane year, but we're talking about a guy with one appearance in uniform ever, maybe? How many? I mean, they brought him up from the practice squad. He's done basically nothing, but they've given him a workload. They trust him. He's been with the first team, especially when they run 12 personnel, which I still think they're going to do this year. They trust him to have a significant role, and I think he's capable of that. To steal Garrett's phrase, it doesn't look like it's too big for him, and he's shown it out here. So he looks like a guy who's ready to take on that responsibility.
I got one other guy as well that I've seen a couple of things from lately. Dak Prescott, in the form of what they're asking him to be this year. I mean, look what they've lost on this team leadership-wise. We saw a little bit of it yesterday. We saw a little bit of it the week before. He's not really afraid to speak his mind out there. He is leading. He's got a command of the huddle. Yes, you want that from your quarterback, but it's not always easy when you're a young guy like he was. No, that's over now. He's the guy. He's the veteran guy on this team. They've made decisions for him to suit this thing around him. So when things don't go well, he needs to stop the drill, put the ball on the ground, yell at somebody, and that's what he's doing so far.
He killed Chaz yesterday.
Now I do wonder. Does he do that with Tyron? Does he do it with Travis? Because you know what?
There's a lot of people that have killed Chaz.
The next play, Travis Frederick pretty much gave him a 3-hopper to shortstop, and they fumbled the ball away. And so
I trust him to say what needs to be said.
I hope
Maybe he has a different approach with different guys.
You have to. That's what you do. That's what parents do. It's what coaches do. You treat everyone different.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, this is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in.
Good job
Derek,
today, Amber.
It was a pleasure having you back.
Yeah, come
we
back
hope
anytime.
To see you next
By the way, next week, I'm taking back the responsibility.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Is that our last show?
I'm just
We'll see
kidding.
about that.
He's the boss. All right, for Nick Eamon, David Hellman, Derek Eagleton, I'm Amber Garcia. This has been The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
Radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?